What is syllable? Definition of syllable is provided into two perspectives. First is from phonetic. Syllable is a sound unit that has one peak of prominence, and it is mostly a vowels. Prominence is the greatest emphasis or strength that given to certain syllable in a word or phrase. For example, in the word butter, the syllable ba is the prominence. While in phonology, syllable is an abstract unit in the language sound system and is governed by phonotactic rules. In phonology, syllable has three structures. There are onset, nucleus, and coda. For the example, in the word plan, there is onset P, nucleus A, and coda N. The structure of the syllable has three elements. There are onset, nucleus, and coda. Onset is the first sound before vowel, and nucleus is the main vowel and it's usually in the center of word. And last is coda. Coda is the last sound and that become after vowels or nucleus. Every syllable must have nucleus and it is mostly a vowel like a, I, u, e, o, and also a. Onset and coda are optional. For example, in the word go has no onset and in the word it has no coda. While when nucleus are in the same form together is called rhyme.
I would like to explain the next submaterial called the types of syllables, especially only focus on phonological derivation rules. That is how syllables can change through it. These rules explains how parts of syllables such as the onset and the coda can be added or removed and how this affects whether a syllable is open or closed. Okay, there are three types in phonological derivation rules that consist of rule A, that is setting the onset, rule B taking on a coda, and rule A plus B combined rule. Okay, first let's explain the rule A first, that is setting the onset. The first rule is rule A, called setting the onset. This happens when the initial consonant of a syllable is removed. For instance, if we take the structure CV or consonant vowel, like word no, and remove the consonant, it becomes only V or vowel, that is O. No becomes O. This creates an open syllable because there is no coda at the end of the word. Another example are me and to become A and O. When the onset is removed, the syllable ends with a vowel sound, which makes it opens or free syllable. Next, rule B, taking on a coda. The second rule is rule B, also known as taking on a coda. In this rule, a consonant is added at the end of a syllable. It turns from CV into CVC, or consonant vowel into consonant vowel and consonant. For instance, the word no becomes not. No becomes not. Consonant, vowel, and consonant in the end. This produces a closed syllable because the sound ends with a consonant. Another example are go and be become got and bad. By adding a coda, the syllable becomes a closed or checked syllable. And the last is rule A plus B or combined rule. In rule A plus B, the onset is removed and a coda is added. Sometimes both processes happen together. It makes the structure change from CV to VC or consonant vowel into vowel and consonant. That is also a closed syllable. For example, the word go become out. go becomes odd. Even without an onset, the syllable is still closed because it ends with a consonant. Another example is B becomes at. B becomes at. Notice that the syllable still feels close at the end.
Alright, after we learn about the rules, let's go a bit deeper. We're still talking about syllable structure, but this time I'll explain how each type is derived from the basic form. So we'll talk about 4 types of syllables. Let's go! Okay, first thing you need to remember is the basic syllable in English is onset plus nucleus, which is a consonant followed by a vowel. All the other types come from adding or removing parts. Let's go from the first one. The first type is the onset plus nucleus, which is the structure consonant plus vowel. It is the simplest and most universal syllable type in English. There's no coda, which means no consonant ending. As for the example, we can see the word low. L here stands for onset or consonant in the beginning, followed by O, which is a nucleus or a vowel after consonant. It is an open syllable because no coda or no consonant at the end. Another example we can see in the word go, see, be, key, try, and others. The second type is the ONCD. This type is derived from the basic ON form by adding a final consonant or coda. So the structure is onset plus nucleus plus coda or consonant plus vowel plus coda. So it is a closed syllable because it ends with consonant. As for the example, we can see in the word lawn. L here is the onset or consonant at the beginning, followed by O, which is nucleus or a vowel after consonant, and it ends with N, which is coda or consonant at the end. Another example we can see in the word cat, bed, sit, dog, cup, and others. The third type is NCD or vowel plus consonant. So it's considered more complex because it's formed by removing the onset and adding a coda. So we applied the rule A plus B. The structure is nucleus plus coda or vowel plus consonant at the end. So there's no consonant in the beginning. As for the example, we can see in the word eat. E here stands for nucleus, which is a vowel, and it ends with T, which is coda or consonant. Another example, we can see in the word all, up, egg, arm, in. And for the last type is the simplest open syllable, which is only nucleus or only vowel. So it derived by removing the onset at the beginning. So from the base form ON, we remove the onset, so it becomes only nucleus, which is the structure only vowel. For the example, we can see in the word I. I here only have one syllable, which is I, only nucleus, only vowel. No consonant in the beginning, no consonant in the end. Another example is we can find in the word air, ear, r, o. Okay, to conclude, all English syllables actually come from one basic pattern, which is onset plus nucleus, or a consonant followed by vowel. This CV pattern is the basic or underlying form. And if we add a consonant at the end, the syllable becomes ONCD, which is consonant vowel consonant, which is a closed syllable. And if we remove the consonant at the beginning and then add a consonant at the end, we get the NCD, which is a vowel followed by consonant. And if we remove the consonant at the beginning without adding anything else, the syllable becomes only nucleus, which is only. So as long as you can identify where the vowel is and check whether there's a consonant before or after, you can easily determine the syllable type.
Syllable boundaries. Okay, so basically a syllable boundaries shows where one syllable ends and the next one begins. So in phonetic transcription, we mark it using a dot like this. Okay, so think of a syllables like a beat in a song. So each beat is a one syllables and the boundary is where the beat changes. Now let's make this interactive. You can clap with me. Take the word happy. Say it out loud. Happy. So two claps, two syllables. That's why we write it as a happy, not a happy. Because in English, the P sound naturally starts the second syllable. So syllable boundary help us understand how sounds are grouped naturally in speech. Remember that. So once we know where the boundary is, pronunciation become much clearer. So now let's move on to a rule that help us decide where the boundary should go. Okay, so one way to determine a syllable boundaries is by using phonetic rules. So phonetic rules explain which sound combination are allowed in English. And here's the more important rule to remember. If a consonant cluster cannot start English word, it cannot start a syllable either. And let's try with a clap exercise with me again. So the first word is infant. Say it with me. Infant. So the correct syllabification is in infant. Why? Because the cluster NP cannot start an English word, so the boundary must be after end. Okay, so phonetic rules help us decide which sounds stay together and where the syllable boundary should be placed.
So, the next material is the maximum onset principle or MOP. The MOP help us to decide where the syllable boundaries is when we have consonant between two vowels. We want to pull as many consonants as possible to the start of the next syllable. We always try to maximize the beginning or the onset of the following syllable. So the maximum onset principle has two simple parts of rules. The first one is when a consonant is between two vowels, it generally wants to start the new syllable, not end the previous one. And the second one is we move the maximum number of consonants to the next syllable. But there is a crucial condition. The group of consonants you move must be a legal cluster in English. If that consonant group cannot start a real English word like street or train, then you cannot move them all. So we have two examples of this maximum onset principle. The first one is the word happy. So we have a single consonant p between the two vowels. Since p can definitely start a word like pen, like pencil, and etc., the MOP tells us to move it to the second syllable. So the division is happy, not happy, but happy, leaving the first syllable open. Second is the word extra. So we have three consonants, k, tr, between the vowels. We try to pull the longest legal group. The group k, tr is not allowed at the start of an English word. However, the group tr is allowed, like the word street and strong. The MOP chooses the legal longest group, TR, for the second syllable. The leftover K stays with the first syllable. So the division is extra, not extra, but extra. So to wrap up the material maximal onset principle, its entire purpose is to make the onset of the second syllable as heavy and full as possible. This also means the first syllable often ends up being open or ending in a vowel. And if you applying MOP depends on knowing your consonant clusters, which groups are actually allowed to begin a word in English. Thank you.